today I am going to be doing a tutorial on contouring. Basically on my blog I get a lot of requests about products that I use on my skin because I am so pale. So today I thought I would sort of do a contouring tutorial on how I like to contour my pale skin. So let's get going. So for this look you are going to need a few tools. When I do this look I use 3 brushes. These are my Real Technique dupes that my boyfriend bought me for Christmas off eBay for a couple of pounds. Basically I've just washed them so they're still damp, but when I'm doing contour, and I quite like them if they're still a little bit damp because it makes things slightly easier to blend. So damp, not wet. Then in your kit for this contour you will need the Sleek contouring kit. This is in the light colour. So this is for anyone who is pale like me. As you can see, it's very well loved. And then you will need a concealer which is lighter than your usual skin tone. So this is 17 Stay Time 18 Hour, and for the sake of this tutorial I got it in extra fair. Next you are going to need a foundation, again which is lighter than your skin tone, which for people who are pale always makes me laugh because quite often we're already using the palest one out there. Basically this is 17 Stay Time 25 Hour foundation, and it's basically the best thick foundation I've found for pale skin. It's in soft ivory, but it is the lightest colour I've ever used, so it's really quite handy for this look. Now I know what you're thinking, I'm using a powder and I'm using a liquid base. Basically I came up with this after watching the Wayne Goss videos and his tip for making foundation last all day. Because he put the powder under the foundation, I thought, well, why can't you use the same principle for contouring? So that is basically what I have done. So you're going to start with a fresh face and you're going to moisturise, you're going to cleanse and moisturise as usual. Take a small amount of moisturiser. So once you have moisturised, you are going to take a brush. What you are going to do is you are going to take this brush, which is basically an angled contouring brush. You can get the Real Techniques one if you would like to spend the money. In the blogging world they are thought of very well and they are quite sought after and everyone seems to think they are fantastic, so eventually I will invest, but these were like, I think they were £10 off eBay, so for the whole set, so I thought they were quite good to get me started whilst I get the hang of makeup brushes and things like that. So you're going to start with that. You are going to take your Sleek palette just here and using the brown tone you're going to wriggle that around and you're basically going to draw what are going to look like some horrific lines on your face. So we're going to do it under here, under your cheekbone. It looks far too dark when you do it, but don't worry. You're going to do it on this side. If you find it really hard to do your cheekbones, do this. And it will create the crease that you were trying to create with your brush. You're going to use a little touch just under here and a little touch under here. You're going to leave a gap here and here, and you're going to take your contour and you're going to brush a bit under there and you're going to brush a bit under here, which if you're into makeup kind of breaks every single rule that you've ever been told about foundations and creams and things like that, about how you don't want to blend darkness onto your neck. Bear with me, we're getting there, it will make sense. Next you're going to dab your brush again and you're going to just put a small section of the darkness here. You're basically trying to create shadows on your face and you're going to put a shadow here and here. You basically look a bit messy and dirty at this point, that's completely acceptable. Basically you're going to use a concealer brush and you are going to take it and use a small amount. And now I'm going to just zoom this in so that you can see slightly better. As you can see I've got quite a bulbous nose, so we're going to try and create some kind of shape and thinness to my nose. So we're going to take the line. You have to be really steady-handed at this. I am not so great if I'm completely honest. and you're going to create another line, and they're going to run parallel to each other, and it goes all the way up to your eye, and then you go like this across the tip of your nose. And then just to create some kind of dimension to your nose, you're going to just draw a line here on the tip. If you're anything like me and you've got a bulbous nose, this actually creates a really nice shape to your face. So right now I look a little bit crazy. Just zoom you back in again. I look a little bit strange. Again, you're going to take this and we're just going to create a shadow in the eye area. So you're basically just carrying that line on from the nose and taking it into the crease of your eyes. So when you have finished, you should look a little bit like this, which looks a little bit strange, I know, but bear with it because it is worth it when you see the final effect. Next, you're going to take your foundation. As I said earlier, this is the 17 Stay Time 24 Hour Foundation in Soft Ivory. It's basically a really, really pale colour, and you basically use the pump. And you really do only need to use this very sparingly because it is quite a thick liquid foundation. And you're basically going to dab it on here. You're going to put a line here, a line here, a line down the centre of your nose, here, here, and here. I'm just going to get a little bit more out. This is basically the reverse of a lot of the ways that you will see people doing contouring. So I'm going to call it reverse contouring because a lot of people do their foundation bit first and then they draw it over the top, and I'm basically doing it the other way around. I'm just going to put a little bit here because I hate it when you get the lines here, and that'll just add some light to this. So as you can see now, we are still looking a little bit crazy, but you can start to see how this is going to turn out basically. Now you're going to take a blending brush, or in my case it's a blusher brush. Again, this is damp because I've just washed it, and I quite like the feel of using the damp one to blend. And you're basically just going to start blending away. I like to use circular motions when I'm doing this because I think it creates a nicer look. And I'm going to do the first half of my face so that you can see how the look starts to transform. And you're basically just going to, so you can see now on this side that I've got this really nice contour here that blends right up on my forehead, and under my chin it just creates a really nice shadow. So you've got a really nice shadow effect, and I'm just going to carry this round, and the buffing takes a long time. Sorry, I've got a really itchy nose. The buffing takes quite a long time, but I like it most on the nose because as someone who has quite a round nose, I really like the way that the effect works. For some reason the shadow always looks darker on this side than on this side, but I think it might just be the way that we basically just carry on blending. The blending is probably the most important part because you just have to be really thorough. If you're not thorough, you're going to end up with sort of patches like this, and it'll just look like you've been trying to contour. And the idea is that you want it to look like you just have really fresh skin with an amazing face shape. So if you get a little pesky bit like this patch that I've got here that really doesn't want to blend, you can use a tiny bit more and blend that over it, and that will just mean that it creates a better look. Basically, the next step is to use a concealer to to get rid of the bags under your eyes. Basically, you want to just dab a tiny section of concealer there and a little bit here under your eyebrows. Again, this is in a light shade and I'm using the 17 Stay Time 18 Hour Concealer. And basically when I'm doing concealer, I like to dab it on with my finger rather than use any makeup brushes, because I feel like it really helps you get into the sections that are creating the shadows. And again, the same on your eyebrow. Basically, because you're going for a matte look, you don't want to now add a shiny bronzer. So basically what I then do is, once I finish blending, I take my brush, which is basically a blusher brush, and I just dab it ever so slightly into the contouring powder, because that is matte, and I basically brush that off, and all I do is I just take it further up the face, because I just feel like it gives the contour a bit more definition. And you can see that was kind of before and that was after, because what you don't want to do when you're creating a contour is create a solid line block on your face. That's what the point of the blending is for. You want to make it look like you just have really beautiful cheekbones. So basically this is the good side, the side that's not done yet. The nice thing about this look is, because I've used the matte powder and the liquid foundation, all I need now is a touch of powder to set it. So now I would basically apply my usual makeup, things like my mascara, and I would sort my eyebrows out, and that is basically how I contour my pale skin.